everybody. Thanks for coming out. We got Envision 2022. This is the last session of the afternoon. This is our host this afternoon is Joe with BTA. We're going to speak a little bit about the Russian and Ukraine, war and the impact that it's created on cyber risk.
All right, thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Wright. I'm the incident responder team lead for Blue Team Alpha. So essentially, my job is when a team goes out to work on an incident, I lead the teams. I make sure that they're getting on site and doing their thing properly out there. A little bit about me. I did 20 years in the United States Coast Guard. The first 15 I spent driving boats and saving lives and resting people, hopefully. The last 5 of my career, I had obtained my bachelor's degree in information system security and was hired by the Coast Guard to move up to DC and work in their cyber operations center and talk to all types of different DHS entities and work with US Cybercom to make sure that our networks were secure. Toward the end of my career with the Coast Guard, I was standing up the first ever DHS Coast Guard cyber protection team, which traveled around and did some risk mitigation and made sure things weren't happening. That was right around when solar winds hit. Everybody that's in IT, we might know about solar winds a little bit. So I did some forensics for that as well. And so I decided I was going to retire because there's a lot more money to be made on the private side. So I joined Blue Team Alpha just over a year ago and have been working with them ever since. It's been great so far. So what is Blue Team Alpha? Blue Team Alpha is a incident response, SOC as a service, advisory team, blue teaming, red teaming. We do it all. When it relates to cybersecurity, we're a partner of NCI and really are able to help out. And this is our agenda. We'll go through a little bit of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and kind of what it's done to the cybersecurity frameworks and things like that, things that are happening in the space that have changed because of what's going on there. We'll talk about cyber risk and then some of the solutions we offer as well as some of the things that we can do to help. So in 2018, BTA was formed out of Managed Infinity, which is our parent company. And as you see, there are 4 service pillars: our incident response, advisory, offensive service, and SOC as a service. Modern security. We constantly seek out new tools, technology, things like that to improve our products and work with people to do threat intel. We do open source and our own sources, private as well. The team is staffed with people from all walks of life and experience. Tons of certifications amongst all of the guys that work here at BTA. A lot of military guys. GCIH is one of the ones I hold. That's incident handling. It's similar to your CISP type, but it's more handling of incident driven, right? I also hold a G-Pen, so I have the ability to do some penetration testing as well. So when there's not incidents happening, the same guys that are doing incident handling are the same guys doing your pen testing. So they're seeing the most current threat vectors. They're the guys are able to take that, translate it to what needs to be done from the red team side as well. So we see the most current. We have some threat intel feeds that help us with that as well. And as you can see, there's some OSCP. Some of the and if you don't know any of these acronyms, come see me afterwards and we'll talk about what each one means. But a lot of certifications throughout Blue Team Alpha. All right, on to the Russia and Ukraine, because that's why everybody who's in here. So they think I'm super knowledgeable on Russia versus Ukraine. No, I'm not. What I can tell you is that the history, obviously, between the two countries was pretty significant, right? They've had conflict for many, many years. In February, though, on the 24th, Russia invaded Ukraine. Well, what does that mean to us? We're talking about IT. Why does that matter to us? Well, the day that they started to invade, 800% more ransomware attacks were pushed on the Ukrainian infrastructure. Well, what did that mean for the people, in our networks here in the U.S.? Well, that meant that they weren't focusing their efforts on us anymore. They were focusing their efforts on Ukraine. Twitter blew up. You had Conti and ransomware groups speaking out about why they were doing it, whether they were supporting Russia in their efforts against Ukraine, things of that nature. But what we did notice was that there was a big lull there in the first quarter of the year, into the second quarter. There was a lull in ransomware attacks on U.S. entities. We're not sure why that is, except for the fact that conflict was going on, and they were trying to assist with it. Now, some of those ransomware groups took a step back and split, and we've noticed recently that there's new ones forming. Some are still aligned with Russian entities, some are not. But the timeline makes sense to us. We saw from a year before that a 56% decrease in ransomware attacks on U.S. entities from our response. Statistically speaking, I got a little bit here. 52 million data breaches happened in the second quarter of 2022. So, and that's US based. Like I said, 56% down from the year before, from the quarter before, I'm sorry. They want us to talk about prediction. The prediction is that with the fallout and that going away from the news media, you don't really hear about it so much anymore. The prediction is they'll start to focus their threat vectors back on U.S. targets and things like that to disrupt. During the holiday season, it is typical to see a vast increase in ransomware attacks throughout the U.S. You have a lower number of people at work, typically. ITs are taking some time off with their families, things like that. It's spend down time. Most companies are trying to spend down the end of the year, right? A lot of money moving around. It's a lot of opportunity for a threat actor to get in and see some traffic that they can manipulate and take care of. Cyber risk. We talk about it all the time. Every single day, every single minute, there's cyber risk. I was talking to some of my teammates earlier after somebody had come by. I saw some threat intel come through on one of our feeds. Just today, Microsoft released a 68 vulnerability with 40-day patch. So today's Tuesday. They typically bring out their patches every Tuesday. But 40 days were released today. So while we're all here talking about it, we need to get home and patch those things and get those things shored up, because you don't want to have a 0-day effect to your thing, especially during this holiday season. Organized crime is a business. It is. When we get a ransomware attack or something happening and one of our clients has an incident happen, they are trying to get money, okay? They're trying to get money from us. Some other reasons they may be doing it, politically driven. We saw some influx right before the election weeks that were coming up. So politically driven things happen as well. But for the most part, what we see is that they're trying to get some sort of monetary extortion out of it. So, and ransomware is cyber extortion. It's another form of extorting someone. It's like taking someone hostage and saying, hey, I want your money. And if you don't give me your money, I'm going to kill this person. Well, we're going to release your data. We're going to ruin your lives, essentially. There's a human element to that. We talk about this too. So there's a very, very human element to cyber extortion and crime. You have your IT guys who have this bad incident happen to them, and when we respond, we have to manage those critical incidents with those people. We go on site, we talk to them, we make sure that they're not gonna, lose their minds over it. It's tough. It's a critical incident. It's almost like somebody died. They go through phases of emotion during it. They're worried about their jobs, maybe losing it as well. And so that ransomware really weighs heavy on them, because they're thinking, well, if I just pay that, or if we just pay that, we don't have to worry about this anymore. Well, the FBI doesn't want you to do that. They don't want you to pay these guys. They don't want you to give them the money. So we do everything we can to not do that. Compliance is the bare minimum, right? So we talk about cyber risk. If you're complying with what your policies and things like that say that's the bare minimum. That's where you start, okay? Once you've hit compliance, it's a continuous process. We continue to assess cyber risk. We continue to patch it up. We continue to get layered security and do things that are way above the minimum. And risk is obviously not a checkbox, right? We don't just check it off and say, okay, risk is complete. We're good. We have to keep working. All right, so cyber hygiene, how do we do that? What is cyber hygiene? Anybody in here know what cyber hygiene means? It's a lot like brushing your teeth. Anyone? Come on. You guys are real talkative. So cyber hygiene is a set of practice of organizations to maintain health and security of users, devices, and the network, right? It's constantly monitoring and doing those things. Defense in depth, what is it? If we protect just the user, are we doing defense in depth? No. If we make sure all our firewalls have all the rules set, are we doing defense in depth? No. You get what I'm saying? Layered security is defense in depth, okay? It's not one thing. You can't set a SOC up and say, okay, they got me. Everything's going to be good. Because SOCs could be, we can get around that. So it's defense in depth. There's multiple layers of it. It's advisory. It's being aware of new threat vectors as they come out. It's patching as those patches become available. And that's where becoming a moving target comes in. We want to be a moving target in the sense that we want to make sure that our threat profile is as small as can be. We don't want to be able to pop up on Conti's radar as being low-hanging fruit. We don't want to be that person. If we can continuously improve our security, we become a moving target. They may see something, and if we patch it that next week, move on. Now we are not on their radar anymore. So we continuously are a moving target. And how do you help do all those things? Single IT, the guy worrying about clicking Martha's mouse, he's not gonna be able to do all that himself. So you have to partner up with security providers such as ourselves and others, okay? And they'll guide you through those processes. They'll help you get to the point where you can make sure that those bad things don't happen to your company. We'll go back a little bit here. The part about risk not being a checkbox. A lot of times C-level or management looks at risk and cybersecurity as a checkbox. They think if I paid for that SOC, everything's going to be good. Okay? If we can talk about a measurable defense, right? So if I'm doing advisory work and I do a bunch of assessments and I can show them the change and what that money's been going toward, if it's measurable, it's not just a checkbox now. It becomes important to them, and that's how we talk about doing that kind of thing. What can Blue Team Alpha do for you? We can continuously help you get through those things. And then, man, that was quick. And that's really all I have. Does anyone have any questions or comments about anything I said or talked about?
What territory do you cover? U.S.?
So yeah, we're nationwide. Typically, most of our partners are in the Midwest and such, and we're out of Minneapolis. But our threat hunters and people who work for BTA are all over the country. So, yeah.
How much are you guys seeing ransomware as a service versus like the old credible groups?
Say that one more time.
Like ransomware as a service being, kind of newer. Are you guys seeing that more prevalent in?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing ransomware as a service being more prevalent than anything else. Ransomware as a service and basic email compromises are the biggest threat vectors right now that we're seeing from small businesses and small enterprises. The Googles and those kinds of things, they're getting hit with much more sophisticated type attacks that have to do with vulnerabilities. But everybody knows about all the Exchange vulnerabilities that came out this past year and the year before. So email was a big one. Those are threat vectors that we've shored up. And how do we shore those up? We shore those up with multi-factor authentication. We've heard it through most of the talks today. That's like the most basic way. And I was talking about this again today too with one of our guys. Push notifications are great. They're simple. They're easy, right? But what do we do with a push notification typically? We look at it and we say yes, right? Well, what if a threat actor is sitting there banging on the door and you're getting all these push notifications and you're hitting no after no after no after no, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning? Eventually you're going to hit yes and say, come on, stop with this crap already. Well, you just let a threat actor into your environment, okay? So that's a threat vector that they've been using, a tactic they've been employing as well. So that's another one of those ones we want to steer away from. So I suggest using a code versus a push notification. Use the digital code. Get the number and have to type it in. It's a couple more minutes of your life, but it's probably worth it. But ransomware as a service is huge right now. And like I said, it's coming back. It's going to come back a little bit stronger here along the holiday season and probably into the next year. So we're prepared for it. We hope you guys are. Anybody else? No? No? All right. Well, thank you for your time. I know that was short, but if you ever have any questions or you guys want to talk after, Blue Team Alpha has a table out there as well. So thank you.